Burmah Arlene White.
3 flawless names.
So she was born January 9th, 1914 in Ohio before her family made the big, but let's face it, lateral move of moving to the Ohio of Southern California, Orange County.
Oh boy. Poor decision making from the get-go.
And thank you to our Ohio listeners for donating on Patreon.
Thank you for our Orange County listeners for trying real hard.
They can't figure out the internet. So she was from Santa Ana in particular.
Okay, I like Santa Ana.
Not from, but that's where she was.
Yes, they landed in Santa Ana.
in Santa Ana. Or some might say Santa Ana landed on them. She grew up in a pretty stable, loving, typical Orange County home, whatever that means. I'll let you interpret that as you will. Her teachers said she was a good girl, loves her mama, loves Jesus and America too. She's a good girl, and I'm sure someday she would have been crazy about that guy whose song about episode 109 I perfected. Just that sort of girl who I'm sure would have loved Elvis.
I'm having a real hard time paying attention to facts now.
Why? Because I threw a Tom Petty reference that turned into an Elvis reference. So keep up.
Are they still in Ohio?
Where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is, Greg? Can you see? Can you not follow the thread? But so when she was 14, she was riding her bike and got hit by a car.
Yikes.
And had to have brain surgery. And according to some, she wasn't quite the same afterwards.
Yeah, that'll do it to you. Getting brain surgery in the 20s?
Yeah, well, did they even have brains back then? But after high school, she started working in beauty salons and moved up to San Francisco to start a beauty career. And then the first big one hit. The Long Beach earthquake happened on March 10th, 1933, and facing a situation where she could have lost her entire family, she realized she wanted to be there for them, so she moved back to Southern California to be near them and help support them with her beauty salon jobs.
Right.
Especially because her sister was sick and they needed help paying for her hospital bills. She moved in with a friend and lived at 236 South Coronado near MacArthur Park.
Sure.
Going around being 19 with big blue eyes, platinum blonde hair, and red lipstick, and doing people's hair.
In Movie City?
In MacArthur Park?
Looking like Jean Harlow, and I lost it. It fell away from me. Go ahead.
April Fools?
April Fools? I don't know.
But for every beauty, there is a beast, Greg.
Oh, no.
Enter Tom White. Born July 21st, 1897 in New York, as white as his name. Which is white. How white is he? Tom White. He and his siblings were a bunch of army brats moving around the country wherever his dad was stationed. At a very young age, both his mom and one of his sisters died, and after that, he started getting into trouble. So much trouble that he was shipped off to a reform school in Colorado to straighten him out. It didn't work. When he graduated, he started getting into more serious adult trouble and was in and out of Colorado jails for various robberies before he decided he also wanted to be closer to his remaining family and moved to LA to be with his dad and remaining sister at 1406 West 10th and got right back up to his old tricks. He started getting arrested for various robberies and public drunkenness before he was shipped off to San Quentin. There he got into a fight where he almost disemboweled somebody before getting his own eye gouged out.
Oh my God.
Which is a disemboweling for the face. I guess both these people had brain adjacent trauma.
I mean, first date. That's something to talk about on the first date.
He pops his eye out.
Yeah, check this out.
She takes her skull off.
And she's like, oh yeah, you know what? The eyes are the guts of the face. You're right. You're absolutely right.
What is the eye if not the tripe of the soul? So for his safety, he was then transferred to Folsom, where people go just to get glass eyes.
Yeah.
Is that a Johnny Cash reference? Kinda. Now I've got not Tom Waits. Did I say Tom Petty, Elvis, and Johnny Cash? I've got them all.
You got them all. God.
I've got the $1 Million Quartet.
I've got almost the Traveling Wilburys. Almost.
Wait till I get to the part about
Jeff Lynne. Wait till the part of, oh boy, I can't wait to throw Jeff Lynne on this.
I guess you didn't pick up on it. I've been making Jeff Lynne references this entire time.
And this fact will turn you to stone.
Am I right, Bruce? Bruce, he was released from prison in April 1933 when he moved back to LA where his family was. And now both the Beauty and the Beast, or rather beauty salon employee and the Beast, he's still just a beast, are both in LA. Just 2 months later, both Tom and Burmah happened to be at Sebastian's Cotton Club in Culver City. And for whatever reason, this 19-year-old blonde bombshell fell immediately in love with this 28-year-old thug with a glass eye. And so began one of the worst relationships in Los Angeles history.
Cool. It's good when you see that start because at least at least Bonnie loved Clyde, you know?
Did she?
Yeah, they loved each other.
Oh, I thought you said left. I was I guess they both left each other.
They loved each other.
They left a lot of things all at once. Like they left the beautiful paint job of that car Think of the car.
Were you thinking about the bullets when you robbed all those banks? What of the bullets?
Didn't you know there's a bullet shortage? We have plenty bankers. Now, Tom claimed he was a stockbroker, but most people saw through that, and nobody was too happy about this relationship.
I love somebody from Folsom with one eye being like, I'm a stockbroker. Okay.
I work on Wall Street, as in I climbed over a wall and ran down the street. So it's not even entirely clear if Burmah was happy with this relationship. Which, by the way, Burmah, what?
That's not a name.
This is part of my warm-up material for the live show. Burmah?
I mean, what?
More like Myanmar. April Fools. I'll be saying that on Earth Day, which is May 20th.
Yeah.
By late July of that year, just a month after they had met, Tom and Burmah were not only partners in bed, but partners in crime.
Oh no, that's worse.
And embarked on one of the most LA crime sprees you've ever heard of.
Okay.
They did your typical street crime stuff of stealing cars, robbing people at gunpoint, and holding up some gas stations at grocery stores.
Cool.
Blah, blah, blah.
The typical stuff when people honeymoon stage stuff. We all have robbed a liquor store in a honeymoon phase.
With love in our eyes.
Yeah.
With love in our eyes and PCP in our veins. They robbed a Safeway at 3126 West 10th and followed a guy into his building at 227 Southwestern. But what was really LA about what they did was that the majority of their crimes were car-based. Not like stealing cars, but like they would drive around in their Graham 8, which was like the Bonnie and Clyde, like your 1930s gangster car. And they'd both be wearing horn-rimmed sunglasses, and they'd pull up to you at a stoplight with Burmah driving, and then Tom would get out of the car, hold you up at gunpoint before the light would change, and then drive off.
Wow, this is very much gun crazy.
So the one thing all these victims recalled from these encounters was being distracted by the look of the striking blonde woman.
Did you get a good look at the guy? No, but the dame, va va voom. And then she looked like this, and it's like Jessica Rabbit.
All of the like police sketches after they were done, they're like, can I take that home and like take it to war with me?
We asked for a police sketch. How come they're all in centerfold?
Do you recognize this woman? But like every single person was like looking at this platinum blonde.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, this glass-eyed man like shoved a gun in their face. And then they all remembered that when they'd speed off, this woman was always laughing hysterically. They all of the victims had the same story. The LAPD dubbed Tom the Rattlesnake Bandit, and Burmah became known as the Blonde Rattlesnake.
The Blonde Rattlesnake.
Mrs. Rattlesnake.
Sounds like Harley Quinn.
It really was sort of like a
Joker Harley Quinn thing.
What are their names?
The comic, the Popeye and Harley Quinn, whatever they're called. I don't read funny papers.
It's like Ant-Man and the Wasp or whatever. It was all bad what they were doing, but up until a certain point, nobody got hurt other than
terrifying.
Yeah,
up to a certain point.
And
that point was a knife.
That point came on August 16th, 1933. An elementary school teacher.
They met in 33, and by August we're doing this?
I'm told this was like 2 months after they met. Like they were committing crimes already. I
assumed that they were spaced out more, I guess. I didn't know they were still in 1933.
No. This was a whirlwind romance.
Cool.
As any couples counselor will tell you, you got to commit crimes together right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
So August 16th, an elementary school teacher named Cora Withington was taking a driving lesson from a guy named Crombie Allen when they had the misfortune of stopping at a light at 3rd and Lafayette Park Place near the original Tommy's.
Yeah.
Just as a Graham 8 full of rattlesnakes pulled up to them.
Yeesh.
Tom got out of the car, went up to the driver's window, put his gun to Cora Withington's head and said, "Shell out, sweetheart. And that goes for you too, Bo." I don't know what Bo is, but he meant Crombie.
But B-E-A-U?
No, B-O. April Fool's, Greg.
Yeah.
Take a shower. Sorry, Ringo.
Sorry about that.
He heard the word shower and he
flinched.
So Crombie, a.k.a. Bo, handed over $18 and his watch, but Cora's purse got stuck on her skirt. And in that moment of hesitation, Tom pulled the trigger on Cora's head. The bullet went through side of her head, both of her eyes, and out the other side into Crombie's neck. And Tom and Burmah went speeding off with her laughing all the way.
Wow, that's horrible.
Their crime spree lasted about 6 weeks and got them a whopping $220 from around 10 stick-ups total.
Well, you say that, but...
No, I did the calculations.
Inflation, that's $100,000.
I don't even think it's that much. I think it was like $30,000. Like it was not a life-changing amount of money.
No.
Supposedly 7 of these 10 stick-ups happened in one evening.
Oh my God.
Their relationship solidified by crime and violence. Tom and Burmah got married on September 1st, much to the chagrin of everybody who was there, even though nobody knew that they were the notorious Rattlesnake Bandits. They still just like, I hate
just
these
on
two.
principle,
This not going to last. This match made in heaven would last a mighty 5 days.
Wow.
Their marriage. Unluckily for them and extremely lucky for the two people that they shot in the car, both Cora and Crombie survived.
Whoa.
Cora was permanently blinded. Just as miraculously as them surviving, though, Crombie, with a bullet in his neck, somehow managed to memorize the license plate number of the car as it sped off.
Astounding.
He passed this information along to the police, who were now on the lookout, and shortly after the beautiful wedding, spotted this car parked in front of the Casa del Monte apartments at 236 Coronado Street, which means they were committing most of these crimes within like blocks of where they were living.
Jesus.
The cops scoped out the building for a couple days dressed as mechanics to make sure this was them. And then came September 6th. They were just like the Mario Brothers.
Yeah. They had the mustache. Oh, let me go downstairs and check on this. And then do.
It's a me, the cops.
Oh, shucks, it's the cops.
And he starts like hopping away on.
He almost got away, but I jumped on him and he's smushed.
He's trying to hop over like turtles on MacArthur Park. So they saw Tom and Burmah go into the building and the cops followed them in. When they met Tom in the hallway, they announced, "It's a me, the cops." To which Tom responded by immediately pulling out his gun and shooting at them. Cool. Not something Bowser would ever do. Tom was quickly shot dead by the cops.
Wow.
While Burmah ran upstairs to jump out a window, but the cops caught her before she could. The crime spree was over, but at this point, this story was national news and it wasn't going to end quietly. Keep in mind that the Burmah and Tom crime wave was going on at the same time as the Bonnie and Clyde rampage.
Oh, I didn't think about
that. And just as John Dillinger and his girlfriend's whole thing was beginning. So this being the Bonnie and Clyde story of Los Angeles, it got a lot of attention both in the press, but also from City Hall. The Los Angeles DA was a guy named Burren Fitz.
Yeah, we've talked about Burren Fitz.
What would we? It sounds familiar.
I don't remember. I think he was crooked. I think he was taking money.
I know that much.
Yeah, I mean any DA of.
Yeah, I said he was in City Hall. So he was working with Burren Fitz, the LA DA, was working with Chief of Police Jim Two Gun Davis and Mayor Frank Shaw.
Yep. That's the three.
3 guys hell-bent on ridding the city of crimes that they themselves were committing.
Hey, we got to get rid of all this crime we're not committing. Let's just keep it the crimes we are committing.
By any means necessary, while also positioning themselves for better government jobs. And a high-profile case like this to make an example of was a great opportunity to make people think that they want zero crime in Los Angeles. April Fools. Unfortunately for Burmah, she would be the example that they wanted. And with Tom dead, she was going to have to shoulder all the charges that were really mostly on Tom. She was a
laughing charge.
Yeah. Driving while sexy. But she was a confusing case both for the court and for the press because nobody could really figure out why she, the pretty young girl from the suburbs, had gone along with any of this. It was the Depression. Sure. And people.
What I tell people when I have depression. Yeah, sure.
That's how we react to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool, sure.
Keep working for me, nameless corporation. You simp. So it was the depression, and people were struggling and needed money, but it didn't seem like Burmah was in that dire of straits.
Sure.
Tom was physically abusive towards her, and she claimed that he forced her to go along with all of this. But all the victims, again, saw her laughing and having the time of her life.
I'm a nervous laugher.
Yeah.
I'm a nervous laugher. I laugh when I'm nervous.
I always laugh when I rob people at gunpoint. I can't help it.
It makes me nervous.
It's on my dating profile. You should have known.
It's a tick.
Had something changed in her after her brain surgery, or was Tom drugging her to make her do what he wanted?
Oh.
Like a lot of people thought she was on drugs because of her behavior, and also like toxic relationship as it was. Did Burmah have feelings for Tom at all? Like reporters that were there when she was caught said she didn't even care that she was like stepping over Tom's dead body as she was being arrested. Nobody knew what to make of her.
Yeah.
The best they came up with was that she was a quote thrill girl who just did it for the thrill of hurting people. Like a psychopath, like a sociopath.
Sure. Then she would just be hurting everybody. Wouldn't have to be attached to, we got to rob them, then I got to hurt them. She would just be hurting people. Maybe I don't know anything.
Maybe not physically hurting people, but
watching them in pain.
The financial, bringing misfortune upon people. I don't know. We don't know. So Burmah was convicted of 20 felonies, including 6 robberies, 3 assaults, and 1 attempted robbery. And
laughing while speeding,
driving while blonde.
Yeah.
On November 7th, 1933, Judge Fletcher Fletcher Bowron sentenced Burmah to 30 years in prison, saying, "The number of young people who commit serious crimes is appalling." She was sent to San Quentin before being switched to the Tehachapi Women's Prison, while Fitz, Two Gun Davis, and Mayor Shaw had a big ceremony for the LAPD officers who captured them and secured a bunch of federal money for the city to fight crime.
Wow.
Since Tom had been an unregistered felon, this money was used to create a database of felons in the city of Los Angeles that I think is still around.
Wow, that's interesting.
More informed people will have to tell me whether I'm lying or not about that is still being around. But yeah, this is where it came from.
That's fascinating.
They also used some of its money to buy radios for the cars in the sheriff's department.
Cool. So they can say awful things to each other over the radio.
Now we don't have to use pigeons. Bowron went on to be mayor himself. Shaw went on to be recalled from office. And Fitz went on to be convicted of perjury by a grand jury. And Two Gun Davis went on to keep being Two Gun Davis.
Yes, for as long as they'd let him be Two Gun Davis.
Meanwhile, up in Tehachapi, Burma spent her time styling the hair of such fellow inmates as Clara, the Tiger Woman Phillips, who murdered her husband's mistress with a hammer. Erna Janashek, who was a babysitter who murdered a baby.
Didn't know
and
that.
Serial killer Louise Pete. Beautiful hair. All of them.
All of them look great.
It's like a fashion show. And here, straight off of Killing a Baby. But look at that perm. In 1935, she was actually interviewed by Aggie Underwood as part of a story on the women in this prison. And she later wrote an open letter to women everywhere titled Crime Never Pays. Subtitle, A Crocodile Tear Story. She was released after just 8 years on December 1st, 1941 and moved to San Francisco, where she became the office manager of the guy who created Century City, and eventually moved to Washington and died of alcoholism in 1962, or as some call it, the Orange County Retirement Plan.